Today, I'm talking about the favorite pieces of sleeping gear that I've used for my backpacking in 2025. The best items for me that I have got the best sleep from while I've been out in the field. So let's get into it. Okay, I want to start with sleeping pads today because unlike years past, I have actually only used 3 sleeping pads for all of my backpacking this year. In years past, I would have been testing as many different types of pads as I could to then share with you guys. But this has been a year of just kind of sticking with what works for me. And so the pads that I've used have been the Nemo Tensor All Season, which is not here in front of me, then the Zenbivy Ultralight, and the Sea Summit Etherlight XR Pro, which this is the newest pad that I have been testing and using. And I have about 5 nights on this pad this year, and it's nice to have a really comfortable, well-insulated pad available on the market again. And I say comfort because my experience with comfortable pads that have an R value is really limited, from the sense that the X-Therm sleeping pad is not comfortable in my opinion, and the Tensor Extreme, that is that crazy R8 of R value, is also not very comfortable. And that's the reason that the Tensor is not here on this list as a favorite sleeping pad, because I just wish that the Tensor pads were more comfortable. I love the weight of them. I just wish they slept more comfortable for me as a side sleeper. So the Etherlight XR Pro is the updated cold weather pad from the previous generation, and it is a nice upgrade because you still get an over 7 R value, but the pack size is the biggest selling point for this pad. You get super good comfort, but then you have a good pack size. When in the past, the Etherlight, I think it was the Extreme, was just too big. It had a synthetic insulation inside of it, and the pack size was in some ways like the size of a bear canister. And that just wasn't gonna work for a lot of people in the backcountry when you are doing some cold weather backpacking. So to see this pad be able to get a much smaller pack size and still maintain that ASTM rated 7.4 R value is really, really slick. Same construction that you would expect from the Etherlight series. You've got a nice 4-inch thickness. You have the air sprung cells for the baffling that makes it really comfortable, and a 30 denier top and a 40 denier nylon for both, but 30 denier, 40 denier. So it's nice and robust, and it's gonna handle being out in some extreme environments. Now, I've not had this down to crazy temperatures. Been into the low 20s with this, so pretty cold, but not directly on like snow or frozen ground. So I can't speak to the performance of it from that point, but man, it does sleep warm. It is a very comfortable pad, but it is expensive. This regular wide rectangular pad is a price of $269 USD, which is a significant investment. But I think if you are going to be in cold weather situations, you want maximum comfort, I think that investment is totally worth it. And it's a pad that you could use through all 4 seasons, even into the summer months if you really wanted to, except for those like super, super hot days. Now, my all-time favorite pad for 2025 is this guy here, the Zenbivy Ultralight. This has been the most used pad in my pack over the last like 18 months. I love the comfort of this. I love the weight of it. I do wish it was a touch lighter, closer to what the Tensor achieves, but this is the most comfortable sleep that I get in the backcountry. I do wish that it was a tad thicker, but then that would add some additional weight to it. But this thing, man, it just sleeps super warm, it packs small, and I think it is an amazing value. And I have not had any issues of leaks or any problems with this pad. It is simply fantastic. Now, the price point comes in at about $200. You have a 4.8 R value, and when I say that it sleeps warm, I genuinely mean that. It is a pad that I think performs better than a lot of other pads that are in that 4 to 5 R value range. Now, the way that this is constructed is you have this like quilted baffling, but all of the baffling is offset between the 2 layers of Mylar insulation. So you don't have cold spots or leakage essentially, because the Mylar film is offset from each other where these weld points are at each of these dimples, because a dimple on this side does not match up in the same spot as a dimple over here or where that weld spot is. So that offset aspect of the insulation really eliminates cold spots, and it makes for an incredible, good, comfortable, warm sleep. I've had this pad down into the teens and I've been pretty warm on it. I just simply love this thing. And I would say if you're going to invest into one pad that you're going to use for all like 3 seasons, then this would be the one to get for sure. Now, similarly to these sleeping pads, this year was a year of not testing a crazy amount of different sleeping bags or quilts. I did purchase 2 different sleeping bags or quilts that I just have been interested in for quite a long time, and so we're going to talk about one of those items here first. This is the Cumulus and Gossamer Gear collaboration Aerial 330, which that 330 means that it has 330 grams of down insulation inside of it. So this is a really minimal focused sleeping bag that comes in at a weight of 17 ounces. That is crazy light, because this also has a comfort rating of 30 degrees Fahrenheit. That just blew my mind when I was first looking at this. But I was interested in this because it's fairly unique, because this does not have a zipper on it. A sleeping bag that doesn't have a zipper. There's nothing for it to open up and make it so you just slide yourself in and then close it up. This thing is like as simple as it gets. Here on the back panel, this is a non-insulated piece of fabric that just closes everything in, and I guess in some ways it acts very similarly to a quilt. Now, the difference being is it is fully enclosed, and I have a couple of little simple pad straps that are some elastic shock cord that tie to the loops here. So it does make it so that as I roll and move around in the bag, it stays in place pretty well, but it is a full mummy style sleeping bag. I have a minimal style hood here. I don't have any draft collars around the cinch here at the top, but it is very easy to get in and out of. And man, I'll tell you what, this bag sleeps very warm. I have not had a cold night of sleep in this bag. Now, comfort rated to 30 degrees. I've been down to low 40s in it, high 30s, and I have slept warm. And I'm impressed by that for something that is so lightweight. 17 ounces, 900 fill power down inside of it. It's impressive. Like I guess the only like real gripe I have about it is because it is so lightweight, it is very minimal, and it's pretty tight inside of here. So this is going to fit somebody up to about 6 foot in length. And if you're any broader or larger than I am, then this is going to be a tight fit. You definitely notice it in the hips and around the knees, and not so much around the shoulders, but like this is an ultralight focused product. And the price point of this is also quite impressive. Now, I have noticed that it's fluctuated over time. When I purchased this, I bought it with my own money. I paid $325 from the Gossamer Gear website. If you buy it from Cumulus, it comes in a red color, but I'm not sure what the exact collaboration is other than like you get a blue color for it being from Gossamer Gear. So I purchased from Gossamer Gear $325. It's currently $400 on the Gossamer Gear website, or $359 on the Cumulus website, where you're paying for shipping from Poland. So maybe it equals out at that point, because Cumulus is a Polish brand. Everything is made by them in Poland, and it's just a phenomenal value. Like this thing, I am impressed. And I've thought like, oh, one of the other quilts that we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna get a colder temperature option of it, but then I'm like, I don't really need to do that. I've got this, and it is crazy light. So that is the Cumulus Ariel 330 sleeping bag. It's really cool. Now, the most unique piece of sleeping gear I've used in 2025 is this quilt here. This is the UGQ Alpha Bandit. And what makes it unique, if you haven't seen this yet, because I did make a whole video about this on my channel, is this is a quilt that is lined with an Alpha Direct fabric as the inner liner. It is amazing. Now, there are some pretty strong opinions about whether or not this was a good idea. And I think overall, it is a great idea. It is incredibly warm, super comfortable, and it is just a fun thing as well. Like, it's thinking outside of the box. It's doing something a little bit different, and I like that. Like, UGQ likes to try different things, and this is definitely within that wheelhouse. Now, the Alpha Direct is not a removable liner. It is completely sewn in and is integrated through the entire length of the quilt. Now, the benefit of this is you are getting a really comfortable, soft, enjoyable experience against your skin. And I think that is the biggest win of what this quilt provides, because people will argue that the weight of this versus adding the extra down weight for a warmer quilt is a smarter way to go. It just comes down to preference and what your goals are and what you want out of the quilt. In this case, it just provides incredible warmth. It provides that comfort and softness that you don't get from just these plasticky type of ultralight fabrics. And I love that. I think it is really, really smart. Now, this is built as a 30-degree quilt for the amount of down that's in it, but with the Alpha lining inside, you definitely add 10 degrees of warmth, so 20 degrees of comfort rating. And I've been into some fairly cold temperatures. I tested an early prototype of this before I got this one and was impressed with the performance of it. Now, I think the downside that comes with this is that it's not the lightest option. It is about 36 ounces of weight for everything you have here with how it's built and constructed. It has the zippered foot box and the ability to lay it out like a big open blanket, which I think that's cool as well, because then I can use it in more applications over like a bed as a comforter, if I'm doing some camping or overlanding, that kind of thing. So a little bit more functionality than if you had just a sewn foot box and was limited to that aspect. But the full zipper and the extra cordage and stuff, that adds weight to the quilt. But man, UGQ just makes an amazing product. This thing is unique, it's different, and it was also released as a limited release. There were only 50 made, so currently it's not available. So if you really, really want it, start bugging Chad. Just email Chad, say, hey, I need an Alpha Bandit. But I will also link my video about this going into more detail down in the description below. But that is the Alpha Bandit. That it's just cool to use something unique and different and enjoy that as well while you're out in the backcountry. Now, out of my own curiosities, as well as popular requests from many of you, I purchased this year the Katabatic Swatch 15-degree quilt. And this may be one of the mistakes that I made in my gear purchases this year. I probably should have got the 22 or even the 30-degree version of this quilt, because when they say 15 degrees, they mean it. And I want to break that down a little bit, because this thing feels deceiving. It feels like for the weight, you are getting something that shouldn't keep you that warm. But there are some aspects to this that have been really impressive, and the investment has been a lot of fun. But I do kind of wish that I didn't get the 15 degree and got the 22 degree to make it a little bit more versatile, because the trips that I have taken this out on, I have slept so unbelievably warm, like too warm that I'm like a touch uncomfortable and not really able to like maximize the use of it. So the Katabatic quilt is interesting because it has a slightly different shape than I have seen on other quilts, or things that are going on with the design of it. And part of that is, unlike the UGQ quilt, you have horizontal baffles versus a zoned baffling, where on the UGQ it is vertical through the torso and then it is horizontal in the foot box. This is horizontal baffles through the whole thing. Here on the back of the quilt, you also have a piece of elastic binding that goes all the way around, that is static in the sense that it can't be adjusted, but it does help close in those drafts. Now, this is a smaller size quilt than some of the other options that I've used out there, because in the past I've talked about like get longer and wider for your quilts for ground sleeping, and I kind of went the opposite with this. Now, could I have gotten the wider version of this? Because what this is the regular 6 foot. I could have got the wider version, and maybe that makes for a little bit more comfortable of an experience. But I have found that the differential cut of this quilt, meaning that the inside liner of it is smaller than the outside liner. So when you put any kind of pressure against the inside of it from your body, that helps eliminate the like lofting essentially of each of the baffles from getting compressed. It's a really cool design, and it's cool to see that on a quilt as well. I know other brands also do a differential cut, but it just like, it makes a difference. Now, there is a really like closed off, well put together foot box here that really seals in the heat, and then your minimal opening here around the back, and then a really smart pad attachment system. So you have, instead of some elastic pieces, you actually have these pieces of small cordage that clip into these plastic pieces that you're able to adjust fairly easy, but you can really lock them in place, and then a secondary like mitten hook that you can clip through that just brings the quilt even closer to the edge of the pad. So I found that it really does a good job at eliminating drafts and just like coming up around you. The way that this snaps around your neck does a good job of sealing off really well. You have a full like draft collar around the cinch, and man, for the weight and just how warm it sleeps, like this could be a one and done option for a lot of people. I am really impressed. Now, the price point for this, not cheap, $509 for how I spec'd and built this out. So it's the 6 foot length, it is the regular size, and I did the 900 fill power down inside of it. So for 25 ounces, I am just impressed. And there is a chance that I get the 22 degree or the Palisade, which is the 30 degree option, to have that versatility. But again, I've got the Cumulus, so it may not even be totally necessary. But something I did also add in when I purchased was this hood that these elastics go underneath your arms and keep it in place, so I can really take this down to some cold temperatures. And I'm gonna really try to see kind of what the limit is of this winter, mixed with using this hood. I'm excited. Like, I am really happy with my purchase, and I'm just excited. So that is the Swatch 15 from Katabatic. Now, last but certainly not least is the Zenbivy Ultralight bed. And I can already hear it. People typing away in the comments like, oh my gosh, he's talking about Zenbivy again. Here's the deal, guys. Zenbivy makes an amazing product. I get such awesome, good, comfortable, enjoyable sleep using the Zenbivy bed systems. They work. and they are just a good value for everything that you get out of this bed system. Now it's a system because it's not just a quilt, it's the quilt and the sheet that it attaches to that really opens it up and does make it feel like a bed. Now, this white is probably super bright on the camera and a bit overexposed, but I'm just out, and that's how it's going to be. But the things that I love about the Zenbivy bed, we'll just say the bed in general, whether it's the ultralight or the light bed, because depending on what your budget is and how much weight you want to carry, you're going to choose either one. Now, this is the goose down version, which was the more expensive option of the ultralight bed, but they recently released the Muscovy down version, which is a much lower price point. And that is awesome to see, because before it kind of felt like the ultralight bed was a bit like out of reach for a lot of people from a price point standpoint. So to see it come down in cost is really nice. In fact, the size large quilt comes in at $369 and then add $129 for the 25-degree rated. And that's also for the 25-degree quilt, but the 25-degree rated sheet. So you're just at about $500 for this, when before it was well north of like $650, something like that. The things that I love about the Zenbivy bed are that it opens up and eliminates drafts, and you don't have to like really tuck things in around you. You have the clip system with these wings here on the side, and the clips all go in above a big panel of down. And when that pushes against that wing on the side, then I have all of this space in here, and it's just comfortable. It's just an enjoyable space to be in. And I don't find that it's constrictive and causes problems for me as a side sleeper when I'm moving from side to side and on my back and on my stomach and all of that. Now, I don't have the pillows over here, but what's also nice is with their soft top pillow, which is hands down my favorite pillow. So comfortable and lightweight enough that, and packable enough that it just is it's a better sleep, I'll say that, than a lot of the other pillows that I've used in the past. But it just clips to the inside of the sheet here, and then I've got all of this space. Now this is the ultralight non-insulated sheet that I've got here. I do have the insulated version, but it makes it so that I'm able to tuck my head in, and then I just wrap the quilt in around. And man, it is just a stellar sleeping experience. This, I love it. And like, there's just so many other good options as well, but I do find that I keep going back to the Zenbivy when I know that like, got a hard day and I want to get good sleep and I want to be warm. This is what I choose. It's just simply awesome. So there you go. My favorite sleeping gear of 2025, the things that have given me the most enjoyable, most comfortable and warm nights of sleep. Now, I do want to point out that these are not all like low-cost items. They're north of $350 and they are an investment. And I did purchase some of these items with my own money. These are things that I wanted to add to my kit and test and use and found really interesting, and I'm really pleased with the purchases. That is the best sleeping gear that I've used in 2025. Thanks for watching today, guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. Hope you have an awesome day. We'll catch you on the next one. See you later.